Okay, for this example, we're going to be focusing on adding polynomials. Now, there's two different ways that you can add polynomials. The first is called adding them in a vertical format, and the second is adding them in a horizontal format. Now, these two different descriptions, vertical and horizontal, just refer to the way in which you line them up. In the vertical format, you stack your polynomials on top of each other, and in your horizontal, you line them up in a straight line and then combine like terms. So let's look at vertical format first. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to write each polynomial written out one on top of the other. Now, one thing I want to point out is you need to write them in standard form, which means descending order from greatest to least exponent. And what you want to do is you need to line up like terms. So in this case, we've got 3x cubed and x cubed. So those need to be lined up on top of each other. 2x squared and minus 10x squared need to be lined up. Now look at our, negative x. There is no other like term here. So because there's no other like term, you want to kind of space out your terms so that we don't accidentally line up this 8 with our negative x. Our constants are negative 7 and 8. We need to line those up next to each other. So this is what you should have written down when you are using vertical format. We have our first polynomial and our second polynomial, and we have all of our like terms lined up. Like I said, because there is no other like term for x, we just leave it blank underneath it, and we push out our constant here so it's lined up with a like term. Now you just add these. You add the constants or the coefficients in front of it. So 3x cubed plus x cubed is 4x cubed. 2x squared minus 10x squared minus 8x squared. Negative x plus nothing is negative x, and negative 7 plus 8 is 1. So when we go ahead and add those, we get 4x cubed minus 8x squared minus x plus 1. Now, for the second type, horizontal format, what we want to do is we put parentheses around each polynomial here, and we separate them by a plus sign. Now, when we do that, we're going to get here's our first polynomial and our second, and what we want to do is next remove the parentheses, and if there's any changes to signs, go ahead and do that, but in this case there aren't any. So we remove the parentheses, and what we want to do is when we remove the parentheses, we want to put them in like terms next to each other. So if there's 9y cubed, we line that up first. There are no other like terms for y to the third power. Then we want to line up 3y to the second and minus 5y squared because those are like terms. So here I'm going to show you some of our like terms. We've got negative or 9y cubed. We've got 3y squared minus 5y squared. We've got negative 2y plus y. And then we have plus 1 minus 4. Notice that as we went through from left to right, we just took all of the like terms and wrote them down next to each other. Now what we do is we're going to go ahead and combine those. So we get 9y cubed plus 3y squared minus 5y squared is minus 2y squared. Minus 2y plus y is negative y, and 1 minus 4 is negative 3. So for both of these methods, all we're doing is adding up our like terms. The only difference is whether we line them up stacked on top vertically or lined up horizontally. Either way is completely fine and you're going to get the same answer. You just want to use whichever one you're more comfortable with.